double check on the Hex. Hex.
They rip the packs for the community, spreading the gospel of both.
Hold on a second. We got a mixtape. Let me do Bagger here. Let me do Bagger. Wait. Let me save that one. Okay. And the next one, stop it. And the next one, stop it. It's a feature. It's a feature.
Bakers for breakfast, powered by Radish, feeds it on.
And Tommy G strikes again with the Fire Auto number 41 to 50. Tom Glavine.
It's going to be a nice featured Fire Coliseum here. 175 power. Here we go. PB Buckets on the feature. Look at that page. I told you he would do it.
Mainly Breaks is a rolling strong.
175 Fire mixtape. Good luck, guys.
Card Society shakes the ground and
PB Buckets Fire mixtape featured.
Hey, this is Slappy White, and I'm here with Bo Battle Breakers for breakfast. And we've got Anthony from Cursive Breaks. We've got Eric from the Card Society and Seth from Mainly Breaks. And Eric, are you going to change your name to the PB Bucket Break Show?
Yeah, I think so. Featured PB Buckets up.
That was incredible.
It was two completely random boxes pulled out of the stack and back to back featured Buckets Fire short prints. It was fun. And what's great about it is the person who hit them is very new to Boba, was chasing Paige Beckers, just a big Paige Beckers fan, and now you absolutely know she's hooked on Boba and will be collecting the whole set.
And it's Anthony, the when it comes to PB Buckets, I remember Frenchie saying kind of early on when the whole thing, when his wife was like, "What's up with peanut butter buckets?" And Frenchie was like, he hadn't thought about that. But I don't think Frenchie, they put PB Buckets in, but I think he admitted like he didn't think it was going to be as big as it is. Are you surprised, Cursive, that PB Buckets has become as big as she has in the collection? And is it because of the artwork? Is it because of the name? Is it because, let's be honest, like when it comes to the women's NBA, is that the facts, like the attendance and like, I think even Eric, you talked about the WNBA and how you love it. Like it's a good product, but the fact is the market shows there's not as much attendance. There's not as much revenue. So it's not as popular as the other ones. We're just going to state the facts. So you would expect other players in this set to be more popular. But Anthony, why is PB Buckets crossing over and like hardcore NFL fans or NBA fans are like, I love this PB Buckets?
So I think for me, one, if anyone that was around for Alpha knows what Caitlin Clark did in the set, and I think anyone that's into collecting is always trying to see what's hot, what's upcoming, and WNBA's viewership is definitely up. I can't speak on attendance, but Eric has said in the past that there's not a lot of WNBA collectible cards out right now, and so this is one of the sets you're finding them in. And when we're talking about women's basketball, I know Asia Wilson was big last set. Paige is up there. There's going to be a few college players coming out that I think are also going to be big, and this may be the set to collect them in. I'm a big Paige fan. I started watching the WNBA, more recently. I think Caitlin Clark started that. We have a few other players in the set that are notable. And so maybe Boba's where the WNBA players, maybe start getting collected.
Yeah, Anthony, we could be leading the way there because the fact that she's a highlighted hero, that's important. And I think for me, I'm a fan of basketball, WNBA. I know more about baseball and football, however, but it certainly did pique my interest. So why make this player a highlight? And I think we have to add that to the list of why it's so popular, because it's a highlighted hero, big power, very popular in that way too.
Eric, yeah, your thought, and again, I'm not bashing on the WNBA. The facts show it's not as popular, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I'm just saying it's interesting the way it's come over. But Eric is it's crazy to think like what it takes to get WNBA to cross over to the NBA fans. And wouldn't it be that ironic if like Bo Battle Arena is the crossover tool. Like they do it better than the WNBA themselves. Like seems pretty easy. Like you take some WNBA stars, stick it in Bo Battle, and all of a sudden you got everybody being a WNBA fan, right?
Yeah, I think it'll go both ways. You're getting WNBA folks into Bo Battle Arena, and you're getting Bo Battle Arena folks into WNBA. Like Anthony said, now he's watching games, whereas before, probably wasn't giving it much attention. I think Caitlin Clark definitely put WNBA, women's college basketball, took it to another level. Paige's rookie season, her stats were unbelievable. Like probably the greatest rookie season the WNBA has
Not
ever
good
seen.
enough to make it to the Olympic team. No.
Yeah. But then they have this unrivaled league. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's 3-on-3 on a short court. And a lot of the personalities come out of the players. They're it's kind of a more laid back environment. They play under the lights. It's a little dark, smaller arenas, but it's a lot of fun. The games are fun to watch. It's back and forth. It's a lot more physical. But Paige is a star in that league, and they play again tonight. So I think the more that kind of stuff happens, the bigger of a following she's just going to get and become one of the more popular athletes across all sports.
Where can you find that, Eric, tonight? That page, the PV
I think it's on TNT.
Okay.
They play Mondays and Fridays.
And I think, can you get that on HBO Max? I think you might be able to get it on HBO Max if it's
You
TV.
might, yeah.
Yeah.
But Cam Brink is in it. Chameleon also plays, so she was popular in the last set as
very
well. Angel Reese played last year. She's not playing this year. But yeah, so you can find a few Boba athletes in there.
Well, you know who you can find in the stream today is Jams. Want to say good morning to him as well, along with Joseph. And then quick, of course, thanking Seth for the wake up text so he could go do his squats. And morning, Aaron, as well. All right. So, Eric, you're in Atlanta. What is happening in Atlanta in Bo Jackson Battle Arena World today?
The Star City event this weekend in the ATL. Excited to get to meet a lot of people that I've only talked to online or seen in breaks or talked to in the Discord. But yeah, there's events going on today, tomorrow, and Sunday. There's a few streams happening from the event. I'm going to do a single show there. Big U and Pulls and Pars, I think, are doing a break tomorrow. I know Anthony will be there as well. So very excited to meet everybody and get my first taste of what Bo Battle Arena event looks like.
Oh, that's awesome. It's going to be your first. I can't wait to talk to you next Friday about it.
Yeah.
Before, I don't know if you want to share it, but before we went live, you shared you're going to do a little guerrilla marketing this week. Do you want to share it or do you not want to in case they decide to put the police at the door?
I'm going in with my backpack and my streaming equipment, and I don't know if there'll be a table or not, but I'm going to run a single show regardless. I'll have my nice briefcase of cards with me, and I got some high-powered cards to sell. So if I have to sit in the corner on the floor and stream from there, I'm going to do it. But the show must go on. So my Saturday morning single show will be live from the event.
That's so great.
Nice.
And I will say, you're not going to throw him under the bus, but it's actually a pet peeve of mine in the world in 2026, how people have jobs to do and people just don't even think about responding or doing anything. So SCGCon, you reached out to them. You wanted to, hey, I've been to SCGCon events, and Cursive, I know you have too. It can use some more excitement. The most excitement, and was it Cursive you were saying in Vegas, is maybe, I can't remember if maybe it was Soothing, but he was saying like there was fun going on at SCGCon Las Vegas and there was not fun going on. And he goes, I can tell you where the fun is. It was where we were when we were breaking Bo Battle. And they were very serious over there. They take, magic very serious. And they weren't laughing. They weren't, just shouting out loud. I mean, is that kind of your experience, Anthony, at the SCGCon, that, when you saw that breaking, when you were over there at the table in Las Vegas, like that was more excitement than the rest of SCGCon?
Oh, 100%. We had a few different breaks going on. Soothing and Devin from Bazooka did an amazing job in Vegas doing the first ever break of Griffey. The excitement of the first break being there live was cool. The people that that actually do some breaks, being able to hop essentially on stage or behind the camera and kind of say hi and take a minute was pretty cool. I think for me, not only that, but then we had a still that everyone got to rip Griffey for the first time. It was an amazing experience. I think even going back to Baltimore, Scott, you were there. One of the judges, we got so into it that he did a whole, Bo Jackson chant in the middle of, right
Right.
before a tournament. And
Yes.
it's one of those things that's like, the judges are typically very serious, and
Yeah.
we have to do our hardest to get them to lighten up because we are a pretty lighthearted group. And then the players around that come over from other groups, they're very serious because they take their game or whatever they're playing pretty
Right.
serious. And it's like, hey, if you're coming over here, it's a good time.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna crack that hard shell of whoever's coming over to experience, Bow Battle Arena and say, hey, we're all friends. It's lighthearted. Yes, it's a game and you want to win, but at the same time, it's an experience. It's
That's a
community.
great point. They really did. You saw them, their exterior lightened up the longer they would stay over there. And I believe the judge, if you've never been to an SCG con, you have to understand what Chris was talking about with the judges. I mean, they have to be. They're judges, right? They're supposed to keep their composure. And I believe the chant was, I say bow, you say battle, bow, battle, bow. And I think that was one of the chants. And that's like, imagine every movie you've seen about chess matches. Imagine a judge at a chess match doing that with the people at a tournament. That's kind of what SCG cons are for a lot of the people who are playing. So anyway, Eric, I was just going to say it was disappointing that SCG con didn't get back to you because it actually makes, the Magic people can be over there. But I mean, studies show the more you smile, the more you laugh, the more you see people who smile, the more you see people laugh. It actually does things for you. It releases endorphins. It is better for them to have an SCG con with people excited and happy and laughing. And for SCG con, it's such a wasted opportunity. I'm mad for you that you're an organized. Let's be honest, guys. These are three, for folks who don't know, this is Bow Battle Breakers for Breakfast. These are three of the top breakers for Bow Battle, Bo Jackson Battle Arena. And, let's be honest, not everybody's super organized. Eric, you're super organized. You wanted to have just a great planned event, and you couldn't get anybody to respond. So I am excited to see your show. And by the way, when is it going to kick off on Saturday?
I'm going to try for 9 a.m. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it depends if you've got to avoid the man or something. So
I might be running around with it.
Dude,
all right.
Take no for an answer. I see you in there. I mean, find your spot. We'll support you. You're gonna have a group there.
Yeah.
Well, there will be a table there. So we know that our boy Jason Big U will be doing a big break on Saturday. I think they're planning with pulls and pars doing a combination break, but they're planning on going at 11 a.m. I don't know, Eric. I think you're a little before then.
Yeah, I'll be done before they go on.
Ooh.
I usually raid Big U because he usually goes on after me on Saturdays. But yeah, we'll see what it's like. I know I've talked to Poles and Big U, so we'll figure something out. If I walk in and I'm just like, oh hey, what's this table doing here with some streaming equipment? It's that's like an open basketball court to me. You just start shooting hoops. I'm going. Going live, baby.
Drive it like you stole it, right?
That's right.
There you go. Just set up and take no for an answer. Ask questions later. This is my spot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited to see.
Thanks, Quick. Appreciate you.
Now, we did have one comment. We teased the show as which NFL players are going to get a bounce from the playoffs. And of course, Alex has got the right attitude. Go Bills there. And I can see, Anthony, you're the only one wearing anything. So you got a favorite team, Anthony?
I mean, I have a favorite team. Obviously, we know who that is. There's a reason why I chose the color hat that I did. It's not the NFL playoffs, but there may be some college playoffs going on that a top quarterback I may be interested in watching. So later tonight, I'm hoping to get with Eric and possibly watch the Indiana and Oregon game. There's some quarterbacks that may go number one overall in a few months here. But as far as NFL playoffs, obviously I'm a California boy, born and raised, not currently at the moment. But for me to talk about the topic today, would 100% be Matthew Stafford. So we have like Puka in the set. We have, obviously some top quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford would be number one for me. And I think that's a slam dunk. One, if there's any other Raiders in the fans, I think any other Raider players in the set coming out for, so let's say Tecmo, having someone also in California as big as Matthew Stafford, hopefully that gives some of the collectors in that area someone else to shoot for, because there's been a few Raiders. Obviously, Bo Jackson played for the Raiders, and collecting Raiders is so tough in the set. So
need a Max Crosby in there.
Yes, I would love a Max Crosby, but we're talking about playoffs, and it's going to be a little bit for these current Raiders to probably sniff that. But yeah. But my Brock Bowers collections, it's getting there. But as far as players in the playoffs, I think Matt Stafford be number one for me. He ties in well to sports, to football. He has great relationships with other athletes. Clayton Kershaw is one of his best friends, so that's someone else I would love to eventually get in the set. But Matthew Stafford would definitely be in for me, and it's he plays for the Los Angeles Rams. LA collectors are big, and we know there's a ton of people in the community from California, Southern California. There's not a ton of LCSs or card shops that are stocking Bo Battle Arena at the moment, and I would love for that to build out there.
Right, and of course, LA, the second largest market in the United States. Seth, what about you for the NFL playoffs?
Yeah, big. We have a lot of various heroes here we can choose from and support. I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence, and this is why. And he was almost forgotten about. So that's our man for the Jaguars quarterback. But the last month or so, he's been on fire. He's had over 15 touchdowns to 1 interception. So going in the playoffs, he's my pick. And on the other side of the ball, for the Steelers fans, Miss G, I love the sound effects. I'm going TJ Watt because I want to give the defenders some love, right? So TJ Watt back from injury, heart and soul of the team, 7th straight Pro Bowl, also 5th straight year that he's his team MVP, leads the league in forced fumbles. And by the way, he was injured. So that matchup, that's a big one. We'll see what happens in week 1. Those are my first two choices.
My son was, when he looked at this last, like, he's ripping the cards and he's like pausing. It's like defensive. And he's like, is this the first defensive player that they've had in the set? Because I'm trying to think, have they had a defensive player? Did they have a defensive player in Alpha?
Well, they had the Super Bowl set for they had yeah. And Howie Long, I think.
Mean Joe Green is in there.
Yeah, Mean Joe.
Okay.
So they had some Hall of Fame defensive players. Not too many current.
Which is interesting, right? Because you can look back on a Hall of Famer and then they're almost separated because you're like, well, look at the scope of their career. But it's much harder while they're still playing. All right, Eric, what about you? Who's tops on your list? And then I have a question. And then, by the way, Cursive and Seth, I'm going to come back to you, and Eric, you can answer after. But the other question is, do the NFL playoffs matter for the Bo Battle cards? But looking at the NFL, let's stick to that, Eric, first. And you can comment afterwards. But which players are you looking at that are going to be in the NFL playoffs that are heroes in Bo Battle Arena?
Well, I've looked at all of them. I think there are some that you want to go ahead and sell now. If you're talking about making money and getting the most bang for your buck, there's some hype, I think, around some players that you maybe want to sell the sizzle and not necessarily the steak in case they lose. To me, I think the person who can get the biggest gain, the biggest upside is voltage. Justin Herbert. I think San Diego, they have an insane defense, pretty good offense. New England is very young. I think Drake May is the hottest thing going in football right now. His cards have been on fire all season. Every Saturday morning, you got Draco cards. Everyone's looking for Drake May stuff. People that missed Alpha that are now into Boba, and of course, Drake May being hot. But it's only a 3-point spread. I think last time I looked, 3.5 points, which is pretty tight. That's almost a coin flip in the NFL. So if San Diego, Jim Harbaugh goes in there.
Why does he keep saying San Diego, guys? Can someone tell me?
Because the Chargers have no fans.
Is this
Oh, right?
what year are we talking in?
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I always go there too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
once was one thing, but like, are you
Dan
seriously like?
Humphreys.
Is it because literally you forget, or is it because you're just being stubborn?
Both. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, if the Chargers win against the Patriots, I think we could see a lot of noise for Justin Herbert, and a lot of voltage. People will come out looking for his stuff.
All right. Well, then the big question I had also, and by the way, in the audience, we've got Quick saying Draco card prices right now are rising fast, and I have a bunch. Question Quick is, are you a seller, or is that just for your PC? And then Jam saying Homer pick, but I'd love to see Kittle, of course. He loves his 49ers, which interestingly enough, Tex Hooper, the normal host, couldn't be here today. He had a scheduling conflict, but Tex Hooper is my oldest teenager, and he stays up late, and he sends me reels from YouTube and Facebook. And the one he sent me last night, it's funny, I was showing the rest of the family, and like this morning, everybody in the family was like, well, that's not a conspiracy. I'm like, that's correlation. So they were talking about the fact that the 49ers have a higher rate of Achilles injuries. And then they talked about their practice field is next to this electrical substation. And when you look at this, I'm going to mash it up at this point, the, electric magnetic field is safe levels are like 0.5 to like 3, waves or whatever. And this thing's like 8.5, like part of the field. And so there's been peer reviewed studies that show that actually long-term exposure breaks down the collagen in your body. And collagen is one of those things that helps keep your Achilles so you can have that quick pivot move. So with high performance athletes performing these activities, that's going to just breaking down the collagen that much. So anyway, it's apparently enough of a conspiracy theory. It's been around for, I guess, years. And I guess in this report, he said that even in the locker room, the 49ers talk about this, that it's known about their practice field. So anyway, Jam's bringing up the 49ers. I want to bring it there. But the bigger issue is, Mr. Hop brought up a great point. And again, we're talking about this more from market pricing. If this is your personal collection, it's a great point. It doesn't matter what the prices are going to happen, the demand or anything else. But as we know, that sports cards have cycles. So for instance, get your baseball cards out, because when spring season happens, before everybody's injured and the season is still possible for anyone, that's your best time to sell your baseball cards, is like absolutely in spring season. It's not going to be in November. So that the question is, with Bo Battle Arena, will we see anything other than set release influencing this? And is this kind of different than Big Cardboard, right? Big Cardboard sees sports season specific price correlation. Do we see that in Bo Battle? Will we see an impact from the playoffs?
I think we do. I think it's just another way in which Bo Battle separates itself, because we're always going to have the collector base and the player base, and that's going to drive a lot of the prices there. But now, in addition to that, like the normal sports card market, we have the fluctuation, just like what you've talked about. For instance, I was heavy Drake May last year, and I bought a bunch of Drake May. Quick, I got a lot from. I used them as buyer's givvies because I just had a ton of them. And I had this Grandma's Linoleum Ice that I sent out, got a PSA 10. I had it on my eBay store for a year at $250. Didn't have anyone watching. It sold last week at $450. So we're seeing that. And now I have a Bubblegum PSA 10, tons of watchers. It's priced over $1,000. And a year ago, it was less than half that. So the answer is a big yes.
By the way, I do want to say, while you were talking, Seth, is that Big Rob said Boba Cycle has been based around the national and set release, and Jam's chiming in. And I agree with Rob, but I think a quarterback winning a Super Bowl can bump up their more rare cards for a bit. So he doesn't agree with it. Just for clarification, you're not agreeing with Rob, because you're saying Super Bowl win can make a difference. Now I'm teasing. He's agreeing with him for the most part. Anthony, thoughts?
Yeah. So one, we're talking about playoffs, and every single team in the NFL playoffs has a player in it, right? I talked about this in baseball real quick, that the All-Star game came out, and like 9 of the 11 guys on the All-Star team were already in the set. I think most of the teams in the playoffs have multiple players that are in the set. For me, I get a lot of feedback from people who watch me and my, essentially the community that watches my breaks. Seahawks are in it. One of the big ones, we have K9 in it. That's in this current set. One of the big names that I always hear is Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is massive. Me being obviously quite the Raiders homer. We have the Los Angeles Chargers, who doesn't have the huge fan base, but they do have a really big player in Justin Herbert. But they also have Khalil Mack, who's an ex-Raider, who'd love to come home at some point to end his career, a la Charles Woodson. And talk about another former Raider that could be really good in the set for the Packers is Josh Jacobs. I do think that there's a lot of hype around mostly incoming rookies. I mean, everyone loves to pull a Hall of Famer, right? But rookies where it's at, because that mystery of, man, they're going to be the next great big thing, right? Drake May, the next Tom Brady, or something to that effect. Yeah. There is a chase in that everyone loves to go after. So I think rookies get a lot of hype, especially someone specifically like Drake May, who's having a really good year. Their first year, if they're not doing great, that's fine. It's expected, right? Year two might still be some bumps, but if you're 2 and 3, they're having a breakout. The value of anything that is a card or memorabilia collectible is going to rise up, because people want to get on that train early than late, right?
I think, by the way, you mentioned talking about Drake May. It helps that there was space in between him and Tom Brady. It's so hard to succeed a legend. And like Anthony Volpe is supposed to be the next Derek Jeter, like just the pressure. I think Seth, the Yankee fan, can agree. Like Tino Martinez is probably the only one. When he came in, he suffered, and he had the support that said, like, just keep going. And oh my gosh, Tino Martinez. I remember that one game against the Mariners when he almost hit for the cycle for home runs. He had the grand slam. He had a 3-run home run. He had a solo home run. He was missing either a solo or 2-run home run. And you know what's crazy? In that game against Seattle, he had not 1 but 2 chances to finish it. Can you imagine coming up like twice to hit for the cycle for home runs? Like, anyway, he was someone who was like, he was a Donnie baseball. But again, Drake May is he finally far enough away from Tom Brady that he can just be himself? And for our host, who's normally here, a shout out is that quick saying, I think if there's some wild success, those cards will become hotter. I think if Denver wins, Phoenix prices go up. Also, music to the ears of Tex Hooper, who's he's got a super rainbow of Phoenix, and he absolutely loves the upside on Bo Nix. All right, Eric, though, we're talking about the Bo Jackson Battle Arena card set. We're talking about the NFL playoffs, if that'll have an influence, and generally just talking about we're talking about card valuations, and do the sports seasonal markets influence Bo Jackson Battle Arena the way it does big cardboard and specifically the NFL playoffs?
Not as much as big cardboard, but it absolutely influences. I mean, player performance is going to spike a card value, but in the playoffs, wins matter so much with the NFL and who advances. There's so much attention on the NFL playoffs globally. I mean, that's literally mostly what people talk about on any sort of sports TV is the NFL playoffs, for the next month, right? So whoever wins these first matchups, and there's some really tight games. I haven't struggled with a bracket in the NFL like this in a while, in terms of who's going to win. But, whoever comes out on top, like Anthony mentioned, every team has at least one player. I think the Panthers, all they really have is XL. But there's, if any of these teams move forward, any of these players do something semi-decent, their cards are going to get a lot of attention. And with sports cards, everything is just so uber relevant. People are really only paying attention to what's going on in that present moment. So I think a lot of these guys, you're going to see a ton of requests for their names in single shows. You're going to see, like Seth said, all of a sudden your card on eBay is going to get more watchers. You're going to get more offers. So that's sort of the trickle-down effect. There are some guys that, I think their values are pretty high already, and I don't know that anything's going to matter unless they actually go to the Super Bowl and win it. They've sort of already increased throughout the season. And then there's guys like Bo Nix that, yeah, absolutely. If Denver wins 2 games, you can imagine the Bo Nix market is going to go nuts.
And can you imagine, you mentioned winning it all, the Super Bowl, instead of somebody saying like, "Hey, what are you going to do? I'm going to Disney World." Can you imagine if somebody wins and goes, "You know what? I want to be in the Bo Jackson battle. I want to be a Bo Jackson Battle Arena superhero." Like if they said that, "I want my super in that." And they're not going to say home team hero. They're not going to they'll call it hometown hero or something. But can you imagine if they could get that kind of by the way, you mentioned Seth's card selling on eBay. So it's a great time to mention our sponsor.
Cards? Don't guess the price. Look up their value now at radishpriceguide.com.
So if you go to radishpriceguide.com, just a reminder is that you don't need to go to 130 point. Those are actually the final prices. Those aren't the eBay sale prices. Those are the final prices, not the listed price. So whenever you go over there, you can see it. Petrarca's in the audience joining us from Portugal. We appreciate him joining in. Of course, it's not a stretch for him since it's the middle of the afternoon. He's walking down a Portuguese beach, enjoying life. But he talks about double check gonna win it all. That game, oh my God, I apparently don't have a high enough subscription, but everybody went to bed, and I mean, I don't care about either team in that other than it impacts the Bills for my son, who's a huge Bills fan, and watching that Steelers game, that was an amazing, I mean, that was amazing ending to that game. But let's talk about double check. And for a while now, when double check was chosen for the set, he still kind of had that cachet. Then what happened is like he's bouncing around. I don't want to get in the politics of it, but it's like during COVID, like things happened with him and he was talking about vaccines. So like that segregated some of his fans into two different camps. So you involved politics, you know, he's not the face of one team anymore. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, so anyway, my point is when you get a double check and it's a banger card, there has been a little bit of a letdown because I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer and people are like, "Oh crap, I got this Hall of Famer," you know, and it's like, but that's what's happened over the last couple years. So if double check can take those Steelers, and by the way, I said to my family after, like, you know, after the kicker missed, like Aaron looked like he could shoot darts out of his eyes, like just disgusted. Like, are you serious? We got to this point, like you couldn't kick that, but you know, afterwards they were saying like he was joking in the huddle. He's like, whatever. Like, you know, it's like, I've been through all this. So if he wins a couple games, guys, are people going to be excited to have double check again? Because to be honest, you guys, you do breaks on Whatnot. Are people excited to get Whatnot right now? Be honest. You can say it with flowers and nice like that, but are people super excited to get double check? And I know the answer. And will they become excited to get double check?
Not really. They're not really excited. And back to the eBay store, I bought some, you know, double checks that I thought, because quarterbacks usually do well. Future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of our generation. Again, I got a green glow PSA 10 under $250 that hasn't been touched. And I think that's a steal for something like that. So I think double check, he kind of doesn't have a home. So the Jets really didn't claim him. He didn't do anything for them. He was hurt all year. And then he goes to the Steelers. And I think Steelers fans a little bit more interested in Jets fans, but he's been okay, but not Aaron Rodgers that you want Aaron Rodgers to be. And you mentioned some polarizing stuff, right? So that impacts things. I mean, people care about the kind of human being you are, and that certainly factors into it. So I think it's because he doesn't really have a particular fan base that's passionate about him right now. So he's hard to find his home.
I mean, I'll mention, Scott said it really well. It's like, you know, hopefully one day someone wins the Super Bowl and instead of saying, "Hey, I'm going to Disneyland," it's you know, I want to be in the Boba set. And the reality is I go back to Madden a lot, very big in Madden kind of growing up. And we know with that game, it's like, hey, someone has a breakout game. And the first thing is like, man, I need to get my Madden rating up. And with Aaron Rodgers, I think that's what it is. He came out in alpha, and I think he was like a 125. And in this last at Griffey, he's a 110 base still. And the reality is we need him to come out and say, hey, I'm going to win some playoff games, and I need my Bow Battle Arena, you know, power to go up. You know, I need to be a 170, you know, base, or I need to be on that top level. And maybe that happens in Tech more. Maybe that happens when he gets into the Hall of Fame. But it is hard to get excited about, you know, a 110 power. I think that kind of goes along with it. But I think that's what we need. I think we need, you know, these players are already, you know, in there. They know they have cards in there. They need to come out and be like, hey, I had a great season. I need to be back in the next set, and I need to be bumped up 30 points.
And well said, Cursive. And by the way, the quick just proving our point, double check also rubs some people the wrong way. I think there's more behind that one than just him playing. So Quick's not saying anything specifically, just saying a feeling, and that's the problem with Rogers. Eric.
Yeah, he's got to win. I think he won a lot in Green Bay, and he's not been the most popular player the last 2 years, but I think winning cures a lot. And if he wins, if he beats Houston, I don't think they will. I like Houston in that game. I like Shrouded, and I think the Houston D is crazy, and I don't feel like Pittsburgh's going to beat them. But if he does, if he beats Houston and has a pretty good game, I think he'll start getting a little more love than he has been for sure. But they got to win. And if he doesn't, then yeah, he'll be back down into the unpopular pile.
Well, and it's for folks who we're talking about Bo Jackson Battle Arena. It's the new sports card. It's a game that you can play. There's power numbers up in the corner. You can play for this year. It'll be well over $100,000 at the National Card Show in Chicago at the end of July. The founder is Jeff French. People know him in the community as Frenchie. And if you look at the first set where they brought in, Joey Votto, and, a lot of people say like, Votto, Miguel Cabrera came in as Tigre. Is Seth, you've been involved with Frenchie for probably 5 years, is that he very much he respects, he's a huge collector, but he's a huge sports fan, and he respects history and tradition. And how much is it just important for Frenchie to get these guys in the collection while they're playing, right? He wants to say, he knows Aaron Rodgers is headed to the Hall of Fame, and Frenchie he's data driven. So all these distractions we're talking about, to him, I think they don't matter. He just looks at the data and he's like, this guy has the data. And don't you think it's a sense of pride? Frenchie wants to say these guys were in his collection while they were playing.
Absolutely. So longevity, you can say one about Joey Votto at the end of his career, but it's the end of his career. He's potential Hall of Famer. I don't know where he's at with WAR. Beloved by Cincinnati for years. He was the face of that team for a very long time. And Miggy too. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And the younger generation remember him now for his last year or so, and that's not as great, but he's old, and longevity matters. So I think that's really important that we have greats that even if they may be at the twilight of their career, we recognize their greatness in the previous years.
Okay, well, and that's a good question. So, Eric, should they belong in a different set, or the fact that they're should once great athletes who are at the end of their career and haven't hung up? Miggy was like, I remember, oh my gosh, it's like I tried to pick him up like when I was my fantasy team was really destroyed, and I was like, let's see if he can get. And I looked at how long it had been since he had hit a home run. Oh my gosh. It was just like that. That was, to me, the only reason why he kept him around, right? Like some pop off the bench, kind of like Cecil Fielder at the end of his career. But he wasn't Cecil Fielder at the end of his career. Miguel was a better player over his career than Cecil, but Cecil was better at the end of his career in giving that pop. But, Eric, Seth just said, put him in the set. But the question is, should you put them in the set? Like, forget about Frenchie's feelings. Is that, should these people who were great be in the set now, or do you wait till they're retired and then you have some kind of, Hall of Fame set?
I like the mix, to be honest. I like the mix of, there's some nostalgia in there, right, with some of the athletes that I think a lot of us grew up watching. And then you've got the hot rookies. They've done a great job of getting the top rookies in most sports in their sets. And then you have the stars, you have the future Hall of Famers, the guys that are on TV every day now. I like having that combination. I think I've said before, I'd like to see more women's sports in there, or maybe some more alternative sports like wrestling or MMA, boxing kind of things. But I think overall they do a phenomenal job of getting the names that are needed. We just said almost every playoff team in the NFL has a guy in Boba, and to be able to do that, they've got the top guys in the NBA in previous sets as well. So I think having the guys that are really relevant now, combination of some rookies, but I do like some of the old school players. I think you do sometimes run into issues where some people don't know who they are. because they didn't grow up watching them, or maybe it's a deeper player like Doug Plank or George Bell. Not everybody knows who those guys are unless they were, fans of those teams. But it's really cool to have those in there. And I think a lot of those guys, too, were probably friends with Bo Jackson, or maybe they played together. So that's a little bit more relevancy to have them in the set, too.
Hey, Cursive, any thoughts that you want to add?
I think for me, sorry, I'm reading the comments here, and Petrarca said a World Cup set, and it kind of distracted me for a second.
Well, actually, you want to know what? If you want to just go into that, because I was going to say, but Eric was talking about the different type of sets he'd like to see, or the different players. I guess not so much a set, but do you want to address Petrarca's? Because I think that's worth talking about for a couple minutes.
Yeah, let me jump one thing to Eric's point, the point that we're talking about. So Devin Bubblegum King had mentioned at one point that there is a rule right now that says you can only have 6 of one hero, and that's kind of has to go away, because at some point,
you can only have six of one hero.
Six of one hero. Like technically, there was originally 6 weapon types, and you should only fit 6 of that that hero in there, because you can't obviously different names and stuff. But with Aaron Rodgers coming in as a second time, double check if he comes back, say as a featured hero at 140. There's a possibility that you can run a 100% 160 spec deck, 100% of Aaron Rodgers, right? He's at 110. It means, he has some 115s in there. His other set was 125. Realistically, you could have an entire 60 card hero deck of Aaron Rodgers. Like, how cool would that be to just have this flex of like, hey, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers tournament.
Right.
Awesome.
So something like that would be cool.
Yeah.
But Petrarca in the chat said, hey, World Cup set. And we have Josie Altador, who is one of the first soccer players in the set. Obviously, USA soccer player, but we talk about other soccer players. For whatever reason, kids, like my oldest is 7, or my 7-year-old, is in love with Cristiano Ronaldo. And we took him to go see Messi when he came down to Cleveland, and I think the spring, somewhere around there. I think having some of those big names, if you could have them as highlighted heroes, could you imagine the chase for a Messi as a highlighted hero? Doesn't sign. I mean, that might be kind of hard to do. But some of these guys who played internationally that are now kind of ending their career in the MLS, Beckham was, I think, one of the first to do it. But there's so many massive names, and I think soccer, you want to make this game big, you bring soccer in. Internationally, it's huge.
Seth, your thoughts about the World Cup set?
I don't have as much knowledge about soccer. So when and if it happens, when they make the World Cup set, I'll be learning like I'm sure a lot of other Boba fans will. I do want to make one quick point about what you guys are talking about with the multiple sets with various heroes or additional same heroes, is that they do it right because, like you said, Anthony, you can just change the power number. So we saw it. Caleb Williams, we saw it. Jackson Holiday last year. We had so much hype around him. He was a really strong athlete, and he was brought back down to size this year. So that's how you address it with the athletes in there.
Yeah, and it also, to your point that you guys keep talking about, to have the athletes want that, because that was the discussion around Tank with Bo saying like, we got to get his power up. Like this man deserves more power than that, and that hasn't caught on yet. But like that would be key, as if these athletes see that as a sign of they want the respect. And so when they perform at the level, not just saying I think I deserve better than what they gave me, is like, no, all right, I did this, now give it to me. Eric, I'm gonna go back to the World Cup set, because I know you're a man of the world. You're the Renaissance man of the group who knows every single sport. But the other question is, we talked about soccer players being in the set versus World Cup set. So first of all, what are your thoughts about that? Like, I know Petrarca, he's like just keeps banging that drum, but it's interesting, right? They don't have a footprint in Europe. How would the audience in America react to an all World Cup set? Like, I'm not sure that's a great seller. And then are people going to look at Boba being like, oh, look what they're doing? And then, like, is that going to crash the rocket as it's taking off? And I don't think they have the infrastructure in Europe to do it. And that's really got to be your foundation for doing a set. And I don't understand card collecting culture in Europe enough to know if that would be a success. So what could we do for the World Cup? Is it just a couple of inserts? Is there a couple team inserts, right? You could do team cards with several of the people signing from it.
Yeah, I think you could do something with the countries for sure. Even maybe a parallel of the country's flag in the back. Maybe that's a
Whoa.
super
Yes.
short print. You like that idea, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I would love to see something like that. Soccer card market is getting bigger by the day. It's on fire right now with all the hype leading up to the World Cup, and then with the World Cup in a few months, it's going to go nuts. But it's only a few select players. It doesn't run super deep, and that's where I think you'll see a challenge with a World Cup specific set is that you're going to miss a large portion of the sports card world because they only know the top guys, right? The Messis, the Ronaldos, the Lamine Yamals,
Pele.
yeah, old school guys like that. So I feel like having soccer players mixed in with a normal boba release is the way to go. I like what they've done before. Maybe just add, a couple more athletes, but they're also going to be pretty expensive. I would imagine if any of those names we just mentioned are signing in the product, that's going to be an expensive person to get on board to sign. So I would think they would have to include those with a bigger release in order to get their money back on that.
Okay, well, so let's pivot to it's along the same lines, but a little bit different is the Olympics. So how do we feel about the Olympics? So do we expect to see, of course, when could we do it? They wouldn't be in the Tecmo set. And then we have the update set coming up this summer. So would do you guys think there should be a standalone? And by the way, this is make believe. There's so much planning that goes in. They would have had to decide this a while ago. But should there be an Olympic set, or should there be Olympians in the update set when it comes out this summer?
Yeah, I'm chuckling to myself because as we're talking about this, I'm kind of laughing about the logistics nightmare it must be to try to plan all these sets because we're going to have the Super Bowl champion set coming up. So there's always another thing for them to make, but to play along, and this is fun. I think it would be really cool to highlight at least one athlete from the different sports, so we could learn a lot about sports. I don't know. I mean, I love wrestling, so USA Wrestling. So imagine having a USA wrestler get Dan Gamble. That'd be Dan Gable. That'd be such a great autograph. But I think that would be fun, and yeah, that would be my choice, just to help learn and grow the sport. We do have the World Baseball Classic coming up in early spring, so I think that'll help there too. But it's fun to think about and to play around with.
Yeah, I mean the curling, like I don't know if you guys saw the documentary about the curling team from Minnesota. Just the middle-aged plump guys who are who
I'd want his auto.
Yeah, I mean, if you did, or remember that guy? I don't think he was
champion.
I don't think he was American, and it wasn't the biathlon. I can't remember what shooting it was. Remember the one guy? Everybody's got the technology and the passion and everything, and this guy would just go up like this. And
I do.
You guys remember that? He was known for just
that meme. He's like,
yeah, and he just but no prep or whatever. That dude, I would love his autograph. For him to do that. But so Anthony, I mean, should there be an Olympic set, or should there be inserts, or should we not have? Or the Olympians? Is it a just a what do you call it? I can't believe I'm brain freeze it, like a flash in the pan, it's just a
I think Eric said it right. I mean, I don't think you can do a full-blown set. Tecmo being football, obviously football's or American football's the sport out here, at least in my mind, that it doesn't get bigger than in America sport than football. But for me, talking about Olympics, yeah, 100%. I mean, Michael Phelps being in the set would be huge.
Yeah, well, he should be a cover athlete. Yeah.
But there's ton. I mean, as far as women Olympics, when it comes the tumbling and stuff like that, there's a Simone Biles, a ton of people. And then what's cool is some of that stuff. I think her husband is an athlete as well.
Right. He's a football player, isn't he?
From the Packers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always things like that. I thought it was pretty cool when we had a Bam. Was it Bam Amendeo? I can't remember if I'm pronouncing his name correct, but his girlfriend's a WNBA player. I think that's Candace Parker. So shout out. Again, the chat is amazing to watch. Steve said a second ago having Ted Lasso in the set would be amazing. We talked about having some like kind of celebrity inserts in some of these things as some of the heroes in here, and Ted Lasso would be pretty cool. I'd chase Ted Lasso for sure. That show was amazing. But yeah, I don't think, going back to the soccer as well, I don't think you could do a full set, at least not right now. Maybe at some point. I think we do a great job with the WNBA. To throw out a few names here, being from LA, and at the time was like Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker, Juju Watkins are some women basketball players that I would love to see in the set. And a new one that's coming up is Audie Crooks. Eric might correct me if I'm wrong with that, but I feel like she's kind of blowing up right now. And so there's just those things, like the team does a great job. Just, hey, give me like 4 or 5 athletes from a different sport that either we haven't seen yet or that is just consistently. I think adding golf into this set was really cool. And I just love the way they do it, but I love the fact that it's a combination of everything, and they get to choose the top athletes, whether it's a top rookie coming in, whether it's a top current player or a top player in that sport all time that's in the Hall of Fame of that sport. And
Well, let me ask you this, Eric. It's like hearing you talk about Ted Lasso, and we're talking about, Michael Phelps, whether it be a cover athlete or this is a crazy thought that just came into my mind, and I'm curious what you guys think the ramifications. First of all, obviously they couldn't afford it. It would be if this person decided they wanted to do it for, to brag to her boyfriend, she should do it, or her fiance. But say Taylor Swift was like, you know what? Obviously they couldn't pay her what she would demand. But if Taylor Swift was like, yeah, hey, you know what, fiance, like, guess what? Guess who's in the set too? Guess who's the cover athlete or I guess the way she performs on stage club. But if Taylor Swift, say she went to Frenchie and said, I want to be your cover athlete. I want to do it with you put me and my husband on as a cover athletes, I'll do it. And I don't need anything. Is that good or bad? Because one of the things is Frenchie is notorious. Like, I hear from people in the audience all the time. They're like, why doesn't Frenchie talk to this YouTuber? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? Frenchie does not want to grow at an uncontrollable rate. You've seen how the product has a hard time getting in people's hands. Dick's is now sold out. We don't have another release coming till April. Frenchie doesn't want to create demand he can't meet because they'll just make people mad and they'll go. It's pretty obvious. So the question is, and answer this from a business standpoint and answer from a personal standpoint of people who hold large collection of boba. Would it be a good thing if Taylor Swift was the cover athlete with Yeti?
Yeah, yes and no. It would be good and bad. Livy Dunn, Swan City, absolutely. I think that'd be a fantastic addition. With Taylor Swift, there are a few names that I think if you put into the boba set, it would completely change everything. That is one name that would absolutely turn it upside down. You would have people in boba that have never been in any sort of cards before, never been in any sort of TCG before. It would be a global thing of people trying to buy those. Good luck finding a box on the shelf at that point. Like,
right.
There would literally be none. It would be a frenzy, especially if she's signing in the product. That would be pretty crazy. I would like to see it. My wife's a huge Taylor Swift fan. She would instantly be into boba right then and there. She would be ripping packs alongside with me. So that would be great. But I think on the other side, a lot of the purists, a lot of the old school guys probably wouldn't love it. It would bring a wave of people into boba that, they're just frankly not into the hobby, not into card collecting. It would be pretty crazy.
I could see it. I could see it with like a Beauty and a Beast kind of thing, bringing back Yeti with a figure in the background, a la like Belladonna, and that's your ode to Taylor Swift or some likeness there. I think it'd be pretty cool.
That's actually a fun thought. As soon as you said that, Slappy, my first thought was for any old school horror movie fans, I'm thinking Hellraiser when they do the little box. It's like opening the box when Pinhead comes out and you can't get him back in. Like, we wouldn't be able to control whatever trajectory Boba goes from now on. Listen, Frenchie's way smarter than me. He's calculated, and I'm sure things done specifically and for a reason, and things are growing in the way that it should.
Well, and yeah, it's interesting. You wouldn't be able to get the product, but like when Eric was saying, like you'd have people who've never seen a sports card in their life who would be going to it. I just thought to myself, of those 1 billion people who would look at it, what would be the stickiness to them when Taylor is not in the set next? And it's like it would have to be just a small fraction of that to stick. It's like I mean, I think overall it's kind of like the internet. Internet does so many great things. If I could snap my fingers, I'd get rid of the internet today. Sorry, guys, we wouldn't be having this conversation live and every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, Bo Battle Breakers for breakfast. But they'd bring a lot of great things. And by the way, a lot of comments there. Quick says ripping Taylor Swift cards while listening to Taylor Swift would bring a new eclectic group in. I do want to, we're getting near the end to wrap it up, but one of the things that I wanted to just go and take a look over at the Radish Price Guide. If you head there, you can look at sealed product. This is something that I just want to do with you guys every week before we go out to see which way the market's going. Now you can see it's sorted by the defaulted sorted by the last sold. So the last thing that sold was actually, let's see, today's the 9th. So this tells you just how much sealed product is drawing up. By 10 o'clock Eastern, there has always been something sold on this day because of course, right, people around the world and at different time zones, and there's just enough sales of sealed products that by 10 o'clock Eastern, you're seeing something. You're not, is that there's nothing that's been sold today that's been sealed. Last thing was yesterday, and there were actually 4 different SKUs that sold. There was a Griffey blaster case that sold for $23.50. Now the 30-day average is $2,100 and the 90-day average is $19.44. You can see that going up. A double mega sold yesterday, and all right, we're going to see that. I was surprised. We talked last week about the double megas are sold out at Dick's. They're gone now. That link that I shared with folks that showed you all the boxes within 100 miles, that doesn't work anymore. It's sold out for that. So the Griffey double mega is the last price was $127 yesterday. The 30-day average was $119 and the 90-day average was $123. It was at $115. People were selling it less than the 30 and the 90-day average when there was no product that you could find. It was crazy. And then a blaster box sold yesterday for $61. The 30-day average is $52. That's a 20% increase. And then, of course, that's just one sale. And then the Alpha Update Blaster Box also sold yesterday, and that was $97. 30-day average is $122. So it looks like somebody got a deal, like also because that's an Alpha Blaster Box. So only paying $36 more. And then the other sales that we've had since our last show, which is, if today's the 9th, going back to the 2nd, there was an Alpha Edition Blaster Box. A blaster sold for $500. So a little bit of a disparity. Like it is the Alpha versus the Alpha Update, but $500 versus $97. There's a Griffey release day blaster box that sold on the 5th of January for $220. That was below its 30 days average. And then a Big League Chew box. This one sold, that's incredible, sold for $325. Of course, those were $200 at retail at the National Card Show. So not even paying 100% more. And it's funny how you get kind of biased by Bo Jackson. Like I saw a sale for $400 and I was talking to someone. I'm like, oh, it's only 2x. And I was like, well, I guess it has only been 5 months. But with Bo Battle Arena, you expect product like the Big League Chew to be at least 2x. And by the way, this is not financial advice. All right. Anyway, Kirsten, any thoughts about the pricing that we're seeing? Does anything surprise you on here, or is it pretty much nope? That's what you'd expect.
I mean, I have about a case worth of or two of hobbies of Griffey I need to go out and buy before they, on average, are above 600. Just projecting breaks that I got to do and kind of bumping up from one hobby to 2 hobbies on my breaks. But no, as far as the stuff, yeah, it's going to climb, right? We know that. I think seeing where things have been at, I think the introduction of retail has actually been, I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I think the addition of retail has been super positive for boba. Any way you look at it, whether there's people that are just trying to flip it or whatever, it's making it available for people that may not have a Dick's buy them. And even at 120, and I think would we say the double mega box is 127 was the last one sold.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's viable. I don't think there's anything that makes you shy away from those. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a healthy market to me.
All right, and Seth, where before you give it your thoughts, where is a double mega the week before, or let's say 2 weeks, because people will hold off. 2 weeks before Tecmo releases, where's the double mega price?
Oh, you're asking me to have my crystal ball here? Ugh. I'd say probably like 175 would still be not too crazy, but because you could probably get most boxes still value at a 175 price, and I'd be okay paying that and ripping that for sure. And yeah, that'd be my guess for that. I would say, Cursive, like you, products getting harder to buy, and I've made the decision to. I love to doing the two hobby 2 megas per break, and I'll have to start doing probably just 1 hobby and 2 megas, just because I don't know. I'm trying to make it last, and we don't know when the next release is. So, yeah, that's my guess.
Any other general thoughts, Seth, though, about the pricing that you saw there? Are you surprised that the double megas? I mean, no sales today. Like that's huge that there haven't been any sales, so far today.
No, I'm not surprised. It's from other breakers I've spoken with. We are, and just the general public, products hard to find. So, the folks that are just looking to flip and make $20, they're going to be gone soon. And people that know the value of what they have will be the only ones left.
Eric, is that I mean, all this data that's there, it's like you're ripping every single week, multiple times a week. Anything in that data that surprises you about these sealed sales?
No surprises. Knew it would go up. I bought as much as I could back in November, and saw this coming for sure. Yeah, it happens with every release. It'll keep going up. I think there's a lot of people holding product that is not listing it. The jumbos, yeah. There's one right there. We found them. There's some people, I'm sure they've got a bunch of jumbo stats just waiting for the right moment.
I was like, can you see my stack too?
Yeah, there you go.
I do want to say, guys, is like I have on top
You
of
got
it.
sealed stuff. What do you got back there, Slappy?
I
Sealed pieces?
I
What's
don't
in
know.
the basement?
I actually waited to do this with you guys to see what's in here because
my
I had
God.
no idea. And
This
so
is the reveal show.
look at
It's
The whole case.
Case.
Well, guess what? That wasn't. You don't get that unopened case premium now, Slap.
hey, wait, hey, guess what? One more.
Oh my God.
Good for you.
He's got a whole big warehouse in there.
So we're having trouble finding product. Do we get the boba breakers for breakfast discount when we need some product from you, Slappy?
How am I supposed to open all that when I haven't gotten to this yet? Oh,
supposed
We'll
to
my
sell
do
it
it.
to us.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got to tell you, like, I love, like, the problem is I don't like to rip the first one because if I rip one, the addiction will just like, I won't stop. Like, I love ripping, but again, the organization for those of us who've been collecting since the alpha came out. I mean, I'm one of BCW's biggest customers now. And unless I have that organizing available, but anyway, I appreciate you guys, your thoughts on the sealed. What we'll do is next week won't go into as much, but like I do want to bring up the sealed as the supply dwindles and we're watching the market there because that's important to a lot of people. That's going to impact the whole market. And so we'll just take a look at the sales every week. What's changed just since the last week? And you guys have any comments, but we won't go into as much detail about it last time. All right, we're going to wrap up. But so 2 things. Tell us who's going to win the Super Bowl. And then also tell us when your next show is. And Cursive, why don't you go? And Eric, we'll finish off with you because of Atlanta. And Cursive, why don't you go ahead?
So I'm guessing Patriots make it out of the AFC. I'm starting a coin flip between the Rams and Rams and Bears coming out of NFC. I mentioned Matthew Stafford earlier on as someone who could see a big jump. I would love to see the Rams make a second one. Growing up in Los Angeles, there was pretty decent amount of Rams fans back in the 90s before they moved to St. Louis. So I would love to see them win another one and that fan base grow and some of those old heads that were original Rams fans kind of, get another time to shine. So I will be going Rams over Patriots in the Super Bowl.
All right. Give us your most exciting Rams win the Super Bowl call. I want to see an energetic Anthony. Let's see you like excitedly call their Super Bowl win. I want to hear
Wow.
Come on.
Is it like I don't know if I could do football. Like soccer's easy. Like you could do the go low. Like but
No, come
football,
on.
it's like, man, Matthew Stafford to Puka Nakua for the touchdown at the end. Like I don't know. It's just-
No, you're
his toes in. They did it, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. Like I mean, I'd have to do like the rumbling, bumbling, like into the end zone, a la John Madden.
That's right. And by the way, Seth, you don't have to do yours now because you just did it. But Eric, you will have to. All right, Anthony, thanks. All right, Seth, up next. Who's going to win the Super Bowl, and what do you got next?
Real quick, I'm going Bills because I love Josh Allen and he's a player. I'm with you. I mean, I love an underdog. Lower seed this year. That's not going to stop him. Quick shout out to my man Nick Card Sanctum. I was texting with him earlier today. He was listening on his drive, and he's going Philadelphia. So I told him I'd mention that he's a Philadelphia fan. He thinks they're going.
Wait, can you say that again? Who's he going for?
Philadelphia. He's an Eagles guy.
All right, there you go. All right, and next up for your show, Seth.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sunday, 6 p.m. We're gonna do doing the old couple hobbies, double megas.
Hey, wait, Cursive, did we? I don't think we said when your next show was.
No, I messed up.
Yeah, no.
I've been on vacation, so I haven't done a show in a while. I'll be hanging out this weekend with Mr. Hop in Atlanta. I will be back Monday. We're going to do a big break, 2 hobbies, 2 double megas, and we're going to have some sealed blast packs as chasers with some other pretty massive chasers. So that will be big. And then we'll talk about it next show, but I'll do a massive break from inside our local mall at a card show the following weekend. So that'll be pretty interesting.
That's awesome. And of course, look for Anthony to photobomb Eric this weekend on Card Society. And then Seth, your next show is? Again,
Sunday, 6 p.m.
Sunday, 6 p.m. And of course, you can find them both on Whatnot. That's where you're going to find them. And Eric, turning to you, is that who's going to win the Super Bowl and your best. And it doesn't have to be the play. I'm not talking play by play. I'm talking at the end where like the Yankees win. Like I'm talking about your team wins and like the announcers going crazy. So like, let's hear that first. That's how we're going to know who you're picking. Give us that.
So, congratulations, your 2026 Super Bowl champions. Not only are you going to Disney World, but you are going to be featured in the next Bo Battle Arena set. Denver Broncos, Phoenix, Bonix, raising that trophy up. Get your Phoenix card ready to sell. I think Denver, Seattle is the matchup. Very tough road for both those guys. I like New England. I like the Rams. But yeah, I think Denver and Seattle get it done. That's who I'm picking to meet to take it all down.
Okay, and then of course your next show is to be determined whether you're going to get escorted off the premises or not, right?
Yeah, so I might be in the parking lot. I might be in the Star City Games event. I might be in my car. I might just raid the pulls and pars table and do it
100%.
from there. We'll see what happens. But Saturday morning, tomorrow, around 9-ish, 9:30 Eastern time, I'll be doing singles. So good time to get some nice Apex level cards for your deck. Good time to collect or grab some of your favorite football player for the playoffs. I'll have it all. So yeah, ready to go.
And for folks who don't know, of course, Star City Games, they have a nationwide tour of different events. It's been primarily for Magic the Gathering and other games like that. But Bo Jackson Battle Arena is now part of the circuit. Just so you folks know, or used to some card shows, they do not charge. There's no charge to get into these Star City Game conventions. So go to Star City Games, just Google it, look at the tour of events. If there's a city near you, you want to go to it just for the camaraderie and meeting folks like Eric and Anthony who are going to be in Atlanta and all the other events. So on behalf of Eric from Card Society, Anthony from Cursive Breaks, and Seth from Mainly Breaks, I want to thank everybody for joining us at Bo Battle Breakers for breakfast. We'll see you next week when Tex Hooper hopefully doesn't have a conflict in his back. Thanks everyone. Have a great Bo.
Morning light is rising.
Feature 2. We got a mixtape here.
They rip the patch for the
Kettlebell.
community, spreading
Oh,
the
double hit.
gospel.
Halliburst Glow.
Lungta
And a
keeps
Fire
it
mixtape.
safe, and Anthony
175
brings the heat.
Fire mixtape.
Eric L. rigs a battlefield, and Simo drives the beat.
175 Fire mixtape. Good luck, guys.
Powered by Radish, feeds it on. They pull the hits
BB Buckets Fire Mixtape feature. I told you, Paige. I told you.
We need a banger, Renato. Action, J-Can, Courthouse, K9, Thorn, and Tommy G strikes again with the fire auto number 41 to 50. Tom Lavin.
Hold on a second. We got a mixtape. Let me do banger here. Let me do banger. Wait. Let me say that one. Okay. And the next one, stop it. And the next one, stop it. It's a feature. It's a feature. Double banger. Double you. I'm going to give an LFD for that one. What a pack. What a pack. Oh my, I gotta say, I'm about to lose my goddamn mind.
Coliseum, Switchblade, Thorn Fire, Coliseum Fire. We got the Orange Tiger Stripe, 175. That's going to be a nice featured Fire Coliseum here, 175 power. Here we go. PB Buckets on the feature. Look at that page. I told you we would do it. I told you we would do it for you. Buckets up, baby.
Courthouse, J-King. We got another icon here, Javalanche. Double check on the Hex. Hex